Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Devotions on U-Nite Radio. My name is Emily.
Salutations to all the youthful souls hearkening to our audio presentation this fine day. My heritage bequeathed unto me the name Noah. Peace be with thee.
Noah?
Yeah, Emily?
What was that?
Oh, I was saying hi. It's my first time on the show and I want to make a good impression.
Oh, well, all the other hosts just say hi. I didn't even understand half the words you said.
Oh. Okay. Hi guys, I'm Noah and I'm excited to join you on U-Nite Radio.
That's much better. But that reminds me, when we're reading the Bible, there might be some words and phrases that make about as much sense as whatever Noah first said.
Have you ever read a word or phrase in the Bible that you didn't understand? Or maybe you heard your pastor at church say it. I still have to look up some words I hear in church or read in the Bible in a Bible dictionary.
Me too. And that's what we want to talk about with all of you who are listening. We understand that reading some new words in the Bible can be challenging, but you can learn them. Actually, there are some important words we want to tell you about. We call them power words, because these words show us God's amazing power.
Can you say power words with us while doing a power pose or showing off your powerful muscles? Ready? Power words! You'll probably hear these power words a lot in the Bible or in church. So if you can, keep a list of power words and what they mean.
The first power word we want to share with you is redeem.
Can you say that with us as you do your power pose again?
Redeem.
If you're writing a list, redeem is spelled R-E-D-E, another E, and M. Redeem means gain back from someone else something I owned before. For example, pretend that I gave away a basket of old things. But then, I realized I accidentally gave away one of my favorite toys. So I ran to the thrift store where my things went, found my toy, and bought it back. In that example, I redeemed my toy.
In the Bible, redeem, or redemption, comes up quite a few times. In the Old Testament part of the Bible, it talks about redeeming things and redeeming people.
Hey, Emily, isn't there a whole book in the Old Testament part of the Bible that shows us that?
There sure is. Let's explore it together. If you have a Bible, turn to the Old Testament book of Ruth. We don't have time to read the whole book, so we'll give you a summary of the story. The book of Ruth tells us the story of Ruth and Naomi's family. Naomi was an Israelite who moved to Ruth's home country, Moab, to escape the famine in Israel. While Naomi's family lived in Moab, one of her sons married Ruth.
But after Naomi's husband and sons died, she decided to go back to Israel and told her daughters-in-law to stay in Moab. But Ruth refused to leave Naomi. She said, "Where you go, I will go. And where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God." See, Ruth chose to go home with Naomi and to serve the one true God.
Things weren't easy for them back home, but God had a rule for the Israelites that provided food for Ruth and Naomi. God told farmers, when they harvested their crops, to leave food behind for people in need. The people who needed help could go there and gather the food. This practice was called gleaning.
Ruth gleaned in a field that belonged to a relative of Naomi's named Boaz. Boaz heard about Ruth and how she loved and cared for Naomi, so he showed special kindness to Ruth.
When Ruth told Naomi about Boaz's kindness, Naomi was so happy. But it wasn't just because of his kindness. Boaz was one of their close relatives who could be their kinsman redeemer. A kinsman redeemer was a close relative, also called a kinsman, whose job it was to care and provide for those in trouble or in need. Because they were so poor, Naomi would have to sell her late husband's property. It was up to the kinsman redeemer to pay for it and provide for Naomi and Ruth. On their own, Ruth and Naomi were helpless. But if Boaz stepped in as their kinsman redeemer, he could care for them.
The best way to do this would be for Boaz to marry Ruth. But would Boaz want to marry Ruth? Naomi told Ruth to go ask Boaz if he would be their kinsman redeemer. Ruth was probably very nervous, but she listened to Naomi and went to visit Boaz.
And Boaz said he would redeem her. In fact, he loved Ruth and wanted to marry her. He would pay for the property and provide for Ruth and Naomi. So, Ruth and Boaz got married.
Boaz and Ruth had a son named Obed. Obed grew up and had sons, grandsons, and great-grandsons. Over 1,000 years later, another son was born in Bethlehem who was related to all these people. On the count of 3, can you guess what his name was? 1, 2, 3. Jesus!
Jesus came from the family of Naomi, Ruth, and Boaz. God used their difficult circumstances as part of his plan to provide a redeemer for the people of the world. Jesus is the redeemer God provided for you and me. God, the creator of the whole universe, made you so you could know him and enjoy him forever. But because of sin, you chose to go your own way and not God's way. And that separates you from God. On your own, you can't do anything to make things right with God. But God has already provided someone to help you.
Jesus, our Redeemer, willingly paid for the punishment you and I deserve for sin. His payment made a way for anyone to be redeemed from their sin. Ephesians 1:7 says, "In him," that's Jesus, "we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of our trespasses." That's our sin. You can be redeemed, brought back to a right relationship with God, because Jesus bled and died so your sin can be forgiven. After Jesus died, he came back to life, and now he's ruling with God in heaven. He has the power to completely redeem you so you can know God now and enjoy him forever.
Remember how Boaz redeemed Ruth and Naomi by making them part of his family? In a bigger and better way, when you believe in Jesus, he redeems you by making you part of God's forever family. You're still part of your family on earth, but you're also part of God's forever family. You are a child of God. If you haven't believed in Jesus, you can do that today. When you believe, trusting completely in what Jesus did for you, God redeems you. He saves you from sin's punishment and makes you part of his family. If you want to believe in Jesus as your Redeemer and become a child of God, talk to God today. If you have questions, talk to an adult you trust who believes in Jesus.
Can you say our first power word, redeem, with us again?
Don't forget your power pose.
Redeem! Well, I bid thee all a fond farewell till it be morrow.
Noah.
I'm sorry. I mean, bye everyone. Thanks for listening to U-Nite Radio.
Join us next time to learn more Bible power words.